Gray hair revolution reappears. Elderly people block road in Henan to demand land compensation. China recruits overseas students to work as civil servants, arousing doubts. Dissatisfied with Xi Jinping, property tycoon Wanger praised Zhao Ziyang. Can the world trust China's economic data? It's all covered in today's China Truths. Gray hair revolution reappears. Elderly people block road in Henan to demand land compensation. The gray hair revolution reappeared in Kaifeng City, Henan Province. On October 23rd, a video on social media showed dozens of local elderly people collectively blocking the road to defend their rights and ask the government for land compensation that had been owed for many years. They held up a long red banner with their hands, standing in the middle of a road with crowded traffic, and shouted slogans. The vehicles were blocked from passing the road, forming a long queue. At first, there were more than 20 elderly people, and later, many more came, all in their 50s and 60s. A videographer stated that the Henan government widened the road 2 years ago and occupied the land of these people. The compensation that should be paid has been delayed. He described that the elderly people blocked the road to get car owners to call the police and attracted the local government to the situation. If the local people block the road for a few days, the government will pay the compensation again. Every time the road is blocked, the local elderly people can get some compensation back. They have no choice but to do this. The video went viral on local social media. Many people supported the elderly's rights defense and condemned the local government's delayed compensation for the land that the elderly rely on for survival. Some expressed loss for the elderly. Some even condemned the government's delay in land compensation to the elderly as hooliganism. Land is the lifeblood of farmers. It's not easy for ordinary people. This is the biggest scoundrel. Some netizens guessed that the compensation money has been misappropriated or embezzled. A netizen in Shanghai said, "There is a person in our hometown who has never received compensation." Then he went to make trouble, scolded, and made a big fuss. As a result, he was arrested for a week, but he received the compensation that night. He said if he knew he could get money this way, he would have done it earlier. A netizen from Hubei revealed, "My uncle's village recycles fish ponds. They belong to a breeding farm. The village's compensation is more than 30 million yuan. The village cadre delayed the payment for 3 years, saying they need the verification. The interest is several million yuan. My uncle and his family belong to a collective household registration, and all compensation money is directly transferred to the village account, and then distributed by the village. The village cadres are greedy for the interest." However, this is not the only case. Amid China's escalating social conflicts, civil protests have continued, and the elderly have also embarked on the path of collective rights, even though they must face brutal repression from the authorities. As previously reported, on February 15, 2023, tens of thousands of elderly people in Wuhan gathered in Zhongshan Park to protest against the Wuhan government's reform measure by cutting off 2/3 of the elderly's medical insurance funds. Chinese netizens called the elderly people's actions of rights protection in Wuhan the gray hair revolution. The authorities dispatched a large number of police to violently drive away and suppress the protesting elderly people. Fierce confrontations broke out between the two sides. Many elderly people fell to the ground. Some people shouted, "Down with the reactionary government." China recruits overseas students to work as civil servants, arousing doubts. Chinese media recently reported that many provincial-level administrative regions such as Beijing, Shanghai, Chongqing, Guangdong, Shandong, Sichuan, Henan, Hebei, and Shaanxi have been recruiting overseas students to work as civil servants. In an article published on October 21, China News Weekly said that, in the past year, those regions have conducted recruitment of overseas students from selective universities. When they come back home, they will be classified as civil servants after recruitment. The students are chosen from a number of colleges and universities, designated by each province or city. It is said that overseas students who undergo a targeted selection often have the opportunity to work in county, city, or even provincial agencies. After being hired, the returned overseas students will have the status of civil servants. They will be given 2 to 3 years of grassroots training time, and then they will return to higher-level departments. Beijing reportedly announced the recognition of 90 overseas colleges and universities in its plan to recruit overseas students. The news aroused strong doubts among netizens. Many netizens believe that this is the return of the second generation of CCP officials. One said, "The second red generation is coming back." Another commented, "You rich kid, you are back from traveling." Someone else said, "It doesn't matter. We have already started following the old path of the Soviet Union. I guess the outcome will be the same as the Soviet Union." They also said that while overseas students have such good opportunities, experts and scholars may not have the opportunity to serve the motherland due to problems with the Chinese communist system. In an interview with Sound of Hope on October 23, commentator Zhang Benzhen in Japan said that the Chinese government certainly hopes that returnees can bring advanced technology with them. Of course, China hopes that those who are very influential overseas or have professional achievements will be able to go home. They are in great need. Zhang Benzhen felt worried that due to the existence of the Chinese Communist Party's authoritarian system, the overseas students would not have a fair and just environment at home. Some are unable to truly serve the motherland and may be persecuted by the Communist Party. There are too many tragedies like this that are happening constantly. However, Zhang Benzhen also said that many students want to go back and serve their motherland. The CCP has been doing this since it seized power. The most fundamental thing is that it values its system and the governance of the Chinese Communist Party above all else. It does not have a fair environment for it to truly exert itself. In history, there have been too many tragedies in the world. In addition, Zhang Benzhen also gave an example that the Chinese Communist Party will implement very unbelievable policies, such as the zero-COVID policy during the pandemic, which has no scientific basis at all. In the pandemic period, real experts were excluded. They have no power to speak, cannot play their role, and have no way to report. Finally, Zhang Benzhen reminded the returned overseas students that those who truly love democracy and freedom will not be able to adapt to the CCP system. Overseas students can enjoy the free environment in foreign countries and can display their true human value. But in China's current system, they cannot display their value at all. Zhang Benzhen advised the overseas students to embrace the humane system overseas and cherish that environment that can stimulate people's creativity. Zhang said the overseas students should think twice before going home to work as civil servants. Dissatisfied with Xi Jinping, property tycoon Wanger praised Zhao Ziyang. Zhao Jiyuan, the eldest grandson of Zhao Ziyang, former general secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, held a wedding in Hong Kong last week. Wanger, founder and honorary chairman of the board of directors of Wang Group, recorded a video to congratulate him. In the video, in addition to blessing the newcomers, he also thanked Zhao Ziyang for leading the reform. Wanger sent congratulations to Zhao Ziyang's eldest son, Zhao Dajuan. He said in the video, "Hello, brother Dajuan. Hello, sister-in-law. Today, October 21st, is the happy day for the wedding of your son Zhao Jiyuan and the daughter-in-law Zhu Jiaoying. I originally planned to go to Hong Kong with my friend Zhou Ling to attend the wedding ceremony. But because I was on a business trip abroad, I had no choice but to wish the couple a happy wedding and a happy marriage from afar." Wanger added, "On this wedding occasion, I think of Senior Ziyang who led us on the road of reform in the 1980s that left us with endless nostalgia. There are no words to express my gratitude. I would like to extend my most sincere regards to Senior Ziyang. Wanger also praised Zhao Ziyang for his generosity and kindness, who not only saved countless people in need of food, but also left blessings to his descendants. It is said that Wanger and his wife are currently settled in Japan. Wanger's friend Zhao Ling, a mainland Red scholar and playwright, posted the above-mentioned congratulatory message and video on Sino Weibo on October 21st. Wanger's video of congratulations triggered discussions among netizens. They left a lot of messages. Wanger has concealed his political and business connections for so many years, and now they are all showing off. He doesn't care about the attitude of the current authorities anymore. Wanger really dares to say it. I applaud his courage. Another one said, it speaks out the hearts of many people. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Some even claim that Wanger also ran away from China, that's why he dared to say it openly. On October 22nd, Mr. Gong Zishan, the host of the political commentary program Gongzi Shijing, said that many people were spreading that video. Wanger took the opportunity of celebrating Zhao Ziyang's grandson's wedding to express his praise for Zhao Ziyang. In fact, it conveyed a message that he missed the reform and opening up in the past. Gong Zishan believes that now that reform and opening up has ended under the leader Xi Jinping, a large amount of foreign capital has been withdrawn, China's private capital has been strictly controlled by the government, and the power of local governments has also been returned to the central government. Gong Zishan said that Wanger is a beneficiary of reform and opening up, so of course he are now dissatisfied with the current regime and the era of Xi Jinping. He expressed his dissatisfaction through the video. According to Gong Zishan, the video can be seen on Weibo. It is of course a political declaration or a personal expression of politics. He expresses his dissatisfaction in this way. But after all, Zhao Ziyang is a sensitive figure, and most people only talk privately. Wanger publicly praised him, which was a public confrontation with the current Chinese authorities. Zhao Ziyang and his wife have 5 children, namely Zhao Dajuan, Zhao Erjuan, Wang Yannan, Zhao Sijuan, and Zhao Wujuan. Zhao Dajuan was a senior executive at Shenzhen Petrochemical Group. After the June 4th incident, both Zhao Dajuan and Zhao Erjuan took refuge abroad. Zhao Ziyang served as Prime Minister and General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party from 1980 to 1989. He was one of the few reformists within the Communist Party. He supported democracy and advocated political and economic reform. Because he sympathized with the students and opposed the violent suppression during the June 4th incident, he incurred the dissatisfaction of Deng Xiaoping, Chen Yun, Li Xinyan, Bo Yiba, Li Peng and others. He was charged with splitting the party and supporting unrest and was removed from the party. He held all other positions and ultimately spent the last 16 years of his life under house arrest. He died in 2005. Can the world trust China's economic data? China's economy expanded at a slower than expected pace in the third quarter, driven by higher retail sales and growing industrial production. But as financial markets assess the situation in the world's second-largest economy, some observers are questioning the reliability of the data coming out of Beijing. In a 2017 paper by the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, staff economists opined that China's National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) has improved its source data and its collection practices, bolstering the quality of final official statistics. However, a lot has changed in the last 6 years. Recent actions by the autocratic regime suggest that Beijing is willing to go to certain lengths to hide specific data that might shed a negative light on the Chinese economy. In June, the youth unemployment rate climbed to a record high of 21.3%, highlighting the economic challenges facing the younger population. This prompted the regime to bury the numbers and halt the publication of this data. Antonio Gracefo is an economist and China analyst. He said, "I believe that the data is not reliable. However, that's all we have to go on," adding that analysts can sift through proxies to determine the accuracy of the Chinese Communist Party's (CCP) data. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, China claimed factory activity levels were normal. Still, according to Mr. Gracefo, other data revealed there was no pollution and very little commutes emanating from those places. In recent years, there have been alternatives coming from the private sector, such as the Caixin Global Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, or data from Morning Consult, a data intelligence firm. A deeper dive into the data. China's economic growth slowed in the third quarter as a sluggish property market and deflationary pressures weighed on the world's third-largest economy. According to the NBS, the Chinese economy expanded 4.9% in the July to September period, down from 6.3% in the second quarter. But this was higher than the consensus estimate of 4.4%. On a quarter-over-quarter basis, the third-quarter GDP growth rate rose 1.3%, up from a downwardly revised 0.5%. This also came in slightly higher than economists' expectations of 1%. The better-than-expected headline number bolstered hopes that Beijing will achieve its annual target of around 5% this year. NBS researchers published a glowing statement championing the strong leadership of Chinese leader Xi Jinping and the rest of the CCP. The NBS said in a statement, all regions and departments accelerated efforts to foster a new development pattern, took solid steps to promote high-quality development, implemented macroeconomic policy regulation in a precise and robust way, and made efforts to expand domestic demand, boost confidence, and fend off risks. As a result, the national economy sustained the momentum of recovery and improvement with positive factors amassing. As production and supply increased steadily, market demands continued to expand, employment and prices generally improved, and quality of development enhanced steadily. Retail sales rose at an annualized pace of 5.5% in September, representing the largest increase in retail trade since May. At the same time, China is still flirting with deflation. The annual inflation rate was 0% in September, and the monthly consumer price index, CPI, rose at a lower-than-expected 0.2%. But ING economists still expect full-year inflation to top 1% next year. Industry and property. Industrial output was unchanged last month, growing at a better-than-expected 4.5% year-over-year. Industry capacity utilization also edged up to 75.6% in the previous quarter, up from 74.5%. Manufacturing activity recently turned positive for the first time since March, as the NBS's PMI recorded an expansion in September due to recent fiscal stimulus measures from Beijing. Property investment continued to plunge, plummeting 9.1% in the first 9 months of 2023 and falling short of market projections. Country Garden, the nation's largest private property developer, is on the cusp of defaulting on its $11 billion overseas debt as it has yet to execute a $15 million coupon payment to bond investors. Evergrande, China's second-largest real estate developer, continues to bleed red ink as it faces $300 billion in liabilities. Fixed asset investment eased to 3.1%, down from 3.2% and falling short of the consensus estimate of 3.2%. Jobs in China. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate slipped to a near two-year low of 5% in September, down from 5.2%. However, the country is not sharing a complete picture of the labor market because Beijing stopped publishing youth unemployment figures. Capital Economics said in a research note, a decision to discontinue the youth unemployment figures just after they hit a record high doesn't inspire confidence. Since the pandemic, the nation has been struggling with youth employment. Economists assert that there are two reasons for this trend. The first is that there has been an immense imbalance between the surplus of graduates and a slowing economic landscape that has not produced enough job openings. The second is that younger graduates are seeking white-collar employment opportunities, which are not aligned with the regime's broader manufacturing aims. However, Mr. Gracefo does not buy Beijing's rationale for the higher jobless figure for young people, citing the contraction in the manufacturing sector for nearly all of 2023. Experts argue this is a problem of Beijing's making as the regime has pushed for university enrollment for decades. The CCP's attempts to clamp down on the private economy have also stifled the service industry. After a solid start to 2023, the services sector has been on a downward trajectory and is below pre-crisis levels. Analysts at the Council on Foreign Relations wrote, "The message for China's policymakers is clear: boosting graduate numbers while throttling services and subsidizing building is bad economics and worse social policy." That said, according to Mr. Gracefo, the 21.3% figure might be misleading, too. It could be as high as 40%. He said, "So, in China, you have people that left the workforce ostensibly because they can't find a job. They just stopped looking." He added, "And when we add those back to the 23% unemployed, you might have as many as 30 or 40% of China's young people that are not working are either unemployed or just gave up." Market reaction. Asian markets were quiet following the new economic data. The Hang Seng Index and the Shanghai Composite Index were roughly flat. Japan and South Korea's markets were also trading sideways. "The worst might be over for China," says Mark Makepeace, the CEO of Wilshire Indexes. He told CNBC before the latest data, "China has had success and will become an important investment venue going forward, but in the short term, China does have some issues. We're not seeing the sort of growth in the market we've seen in the past, but the potential is there." Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. If you find the information helpful, please share this video with a friend to watch together. This will be a great source of motivation for our team to produce more and more quality and reliable videos. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths. Thank you for tuning in.